Testing. Alright. Alright. Surface Transportation Board and Part 1242. Alright, Part 1242, Separation Common Operation Expenses between Freight Service and Passenger Service of the Railroad. 124200, Separation, listed with instructions. 124200, Separation Common Expenses General. 124201, Expense solely related to Freight Service and Passenger Service. 124202, Common Expenses. 124203, Made Accounting Division. 124204, Special Testing. 124205, Operating Expense Account Number Notation. 124206, Instruction and Operations. Instruction for separation, operating expense wage structure. 124210, administration track account XX1902. And then it keeps listing these, and then we'll start with alright, list of instructions. 1242, separation from the common operating expenses, commencing with the annual reports of the year 1978. Any portion thereof of the further ordered Class 1 railroad companies include the Class 1 switching terminal companies that are subject with the 20th Interstate the Commerce Act as a member of the separating operating expenses account to both freight and passenger service according to the regulation of this part. The carrier shall maintain with the record supporting with the common operation expense of the portion of the freight passenger for the carrier shall report with common expense for the appointments of the board as required. 124201, general expense solely related to the freight service of the passenger service the uniform system of the accounts of the railroad company. Title 49 CFR 1201 required for the carrier of the exile and directly to the freight service of the passenger service including allied service expense for the taxes purchase service incurred solely for the benefit of the either their freight or passenger service. 124202 for the common expense of the uniform system the accounts that require the carrier to assign the common expenses accounts of the remaining expense for the taxes purchase service whether they're not solely related to either freight or the passenger for the following instructions govern that separate with the common expense of the accounts between freight and service passenger services. 124203 paid with the account divided made by accounting divisions. The separate shall be made with accounting divisions wherever the divisions are maintained with the aggregated with the accounting divisions reported with the quarter and for the year. 124204 special terms separation of common expense for the account between freight and passenger service based on special term testing the services of the unit factors shall be made sufficient frequent in the intervals representing the actual operating conditions of the unit factors of those reporting period. 124205 operating expense of the account number notation operating expense account with the numbers consist of the 6-digit code structure divided into 3 2-digit groups. The first 2-digit groups are dependent notion natural expense for the second and denote the activity type activity for a passenger common service for the third group the supply of the capable function is the first natural expenses activity sub-activity function. For reporting purpose of the natural expense category the utilize of the category salary wages 11xxxx material tools supply of fuels and lubricants account 21x 21 for purchase service to the account 3141 inclusive and general's account 61 inclusive to 61 and 65 inclusive 51 to 52 53 and 12 for the symbol X for the first 2-digit group throughout the separation instruction need no more than one natural expense associated with the same activity sub-activity function account structure for purpose of the natural expense of the account numbers XX include 11 salaries and wages 21 material supply fuels and lubricants 30 41 purchase services 30 assumption of the certain purchase services account 41 other purchase services 61 general. The 30 natural expense designation indicates some shame of specifically the purchase service accounts for the report with the total rather than individual specific accounts under the wage structure activity except the administration function 39.1xxx for repair bill the doctor 41xxx repairs bill and CR 41xxx other purchase service equipment activity excluding administration function 30 designated denote assumption 39.2xx and 41.2xx natural expense designation other purchase service category XX code for the following wages structure activity administrative functions accounts equipment activity administrative function accounts transportation activity accounts and general administrative accounts expense accounts the 61 general natural expense designation applicable to all accounts for the XX symbol except for the transportation train yards and accounts of XX 33 43 53 XX the natural expense account of the 50 throughout the separation instruction indicated the assumption of the accounts of 52 XXXX other casualty 53 XXX insurance of these reported one item casualty insurance 50 XXX the number 98 in the function of the account of the group the last 2 digits of the separation rule of the designated the assumption of the natural expense consisting of more than one functional national assignment of the reports of the one item of the required include the repair bill of the other CR equipment. It's 42XXX. For example, the locomotive subactivity names 40, 21, 24, 26, 40, 40, 21, 24, 26, 41, 40, 21, 24, 26, 48, which are treated as 40, 21, 24, 26, 98. All right, 1242.06, instruction and separation. Certain instruction on the separation of the common expense of the code dependent of the account between the passenger freight and passenger for the service, the allocation proportional to the common expense of the account, independent account, the dependent of the accounts frequently identified with the XX symbol, the national expense of proposition of the first two digits of the corresponding independent account identified with the XX national expense symbol, unless otherwise stated, the applicable national expense associated with the XX symbol should be the same in both the dependent and independent accounts. To illustrate the 1242.10 provides the instruction separation codes of way structure for the administrative and track accounts dependent of the account for the designated with the XX 1902, the separation of the base and the certain other common way of the railroad structure. So way or structure of the accounting include the running of the XX 1710 and roadway switching XX 1810. 1242.05 the symbol XX denotes the following national expense of the way structure administration functions. 11 salaries, 21 material, tool, supply, fuel, lubricants, 41 other purchase service, 61 general. Or national expenses individually applied with the separation rule 1242 with the intent with each of the case independent accounts provided the base of the freight passenger separation dependent accounts shall have the same natural expense designated. For example, base separation accounting 111902 the salary wages with the structure of the ministry of the track will be based on the certain independent account with 11171810 salaries wages and wage structure of running switching repairing maintenance road operating expenses way and structure 124210 administrative of the tracks accounting XX 1902 the separating common administrative of the tracks expense of the freight with the passengers for the same, the proportional with the common expense. The following accounts separated between freight and passenger roadway running XX 1710, switching XX 1810, ties 12 ties running 211713, switching 211813, rails running 211714, switching 211814, other track materials running 211715, switching 211815, ballast running 211716, switching 211816, track laying surfacing running XX 1717, switching XX 1817, road property damage running XX 1748, switching XX 1848, others XX 1948, dismantling retired road properties running XX 1739, switching XX 1839, others XX 1939. All right, 1242.11, administrative of the bridge building accounting XX 1903, separate common administrative of the bridge building expense for the between freight passenger service with the same portion of the common expense for the following accounts are separated with between freight passenger service to tunnel subways running XX 1711, switching XX 1811, bridge culverts running XX 1712, switching XX 1812, electrical power system XX 1921, station office building XX 1923, shop buildings, locomotives XX 1924, other equipment XX 1926, locomotive service facility XX 1927, miscellaneous building and structures XX 1928, 4212 of the accounting administrative signal with accounting XX 1904 separate common administrative the signals expense for the between the freight passenger for the same proportion of the common expense for the following accounts separated between the freight and passenger service signal interlockings running XX 1719 switching XX 1819 12 14 42 13 administrative communications account XX 1905 separate communication administrative communication expense for the freight passenger service the same portion of the common expense for the following accounts are separated with the freight and passenger service communication system XX 1920 1242.14 administrative of the other accounting XX 1906 separate common administration with the expense of the freight with the passenger service the same proportional common expense of the following accounts separated between freight and passenger service administrative of the XX 1902 bridges XX 1903 signals XX 1904 communications XX 1905 or 1242.15 roadway tunnels submalays bridges culverts job the other track material the ballast track laying and surface the road property damage account with the XX 1710 or XX 1812 exclusive the 21 17 13 21 18 16 inclusive the XX 1717 XX 1817 XX 1748 XX 1848 the expense of running and switch of subactivity separated with between the freight service and the passenger as well as the switching track for the yards exemption for the yards for the common of the freight passenger service shall be a portion base of the respective the switching locomotive unit hours of the common yard way the tracks of any with the location common to both of the freight passengers for the expense of the maybe some of the service that maybe the dominant use of them B. Running traffic expense for the tracks are common both for the surface of the portion of the base for the gross ton mileage, and include locomotive locomotive tons and handle over these tracks and the respective surfaces. 12, 14, 16. Road property damage with other accounts exceeds 1948. The separate common expense for the proportional total common expense for the freight passenger for the following wage structure account. Road property damage running XX 1748. Road property damage switching XX 1848. Chapter 14, Statute 124217, signals interlocking the accounts 20, XX 17, 19, XX 18, 19, separate common expense for the race for the total train hour of the running surface for the end of the yard switching, plus train switching hours for the switching surface over the tracks of the which the common signal for the interlocks are used. 1242.8, the communication system counting with of the XX 1920 with the separate common expense for the base for the common expense for the separation wave, the structure of the ministry of the track bridge call for the signals XX 1902 with the XX 1904 inclusive. Equipment Ministry of the Locomotive, the other equipment is XX 2601 and XX 2701. Transportation Ministry of the Train Yard Administrative Support for the accounts XX 5101, 5201, and 5501. Dispatching accounts XX 5158, 124219. Electrical Power System Accounting XX 1921. Separate common expense for the base for the common expense for the electrical power purchase provided and produced by the motive power of the accounts of the XX 5168 and 5268. 124220 with the highway grade cost of the accounts of XX 1722 with the 1822 with the separate running, the switching of the commands for the expense for the according to distribution from the running and switching portion for the only with the common expense for the listing of the 124210 with the Ministry of the Track accounts XX 1902. 124221 station from the office buildings account with the XX 1923. If the sum of the direct freight with the direct passenger expense for the most than 50% of the total travel, the account with the accounting division separate with the common expense for the base for the directly assigned with the expense for the account with the accountable division involved the sum of the director freight and with the director passenger expense that does not aggregate more than 50% of the total travel of the accounting division. The common expense should be separated with on base for the special tip for the common with the expense for the exists for the accounting division, but a direct expense for the applicable to one surface of the freight and the passenger for the common expense that shall be separated with the basis special test for the accounting and then perform in the system basis of the rather than accounting division and the common expense shall be separated with the base of the special study. 124222 shop buildings locomotive account XX 1924 with the separate common expense for the corner of the distribution common expense for the following accounts: machine repair XX 2640, locomotive repair maintenance XX 2641, 23 shop building freight car for the account XX 1325 of these accounts primarily solely with a freight service that can not commonly expense for separation therein. Herein 124224 with the shop to build the other equipment XX 1926 with the assignment directly with the freight and then particular facts suggest otherwise. 124225 locomotive service facility account with the XX 1927 separate common expense for the corner distribution common expense for the following accounts: locomotive fuel 5167, 5267 electrical power purchase produced the motor 5168, 5268 everything locomotive 51 X 69, 5269. All right, we're gonna just 1242, 726 of the miscellaneous building structures 1928. The separate common expense of the special facts indicate that according to the distribution common expense listed 124210 of the administrative account XX 1902. 124227 the current coal marine terminal with the marine terminal trailer on flat car container on flat car with the other marine terminal motor vehicle loading distribution facilities other specialized operation counting XX 1329 XX 1335 inclusive. The accounts pertain solely with the freight service that contain no common expense with the separate therein. 124228 the roadway machine with the tools to supply with its own removal of the account with the XX 1936 to 1938 inclusive. Separate common expense with according with the distribution company with the expense of the list in 124210 with the ministry of the track account 1902. All right, 4229 fringe benefits count 12 17 0 12 18 0 12 19 0 separate common expense for the running acts of the activity proportions salaries wages the structure the common expense for all the accounts designated running sub activity separate common expense for the switching sub activity same portion of the salaries wages wave the structure common expense for the count with designated switch activity separate common expense for the other sub activity same portion of the salaries wage for the wage structure common expense for the, and all account for the designated with the other sub activity. 124230 with the dismantling of retired road property, the depreciation accounting XX 1739, 1839, 1939, 6217 00, 6218 00, 6219 00. Separate common expense for each of the account sub activity running, switching other proportion separation common and repair with the maintenance expense associated with the particular common properties depreciated or dismantled. 1242.31 lease rentals debited credit with the other rentals debited credit with account 31 17 00 13 00 13 19 00 13 17 00 13 18 00 13 32 19 00 35 17 35 17 00 35 18 00 35 19 00 36 17 00 36 18 00 36 19 00. Alright, separately for the common and debit of the expense for the accounts, and each for the sub-activity running, switching of the proportional separation, solely related with the rate with the passenger for the each for the account with the solely related with the expense for the account with the solely related expense for the assignment entirely for air passenger for the separate with the common and debit expense for the account for the base for the same percent of the calculated separation of the administrative for the other account X6 1906. Separation all common credit expense for the account the same percentage for the calculated separation of the administrative for the X6 1906. Alright, 1242.32 for the joint facility rent of the debit of the credit of the joint facility debit of the credit account 3317 of 33 18 of 33 19 of 34 17 of 34 18 of 34 19 of 37 17 of 30 17 18 of 37 19 of 38 17 of 30 18 of 30 18 19 of. Alright, solely related freight passenger for the debit expense for the account with each of the sub-activity running, switching of the should be the sum of the quantity with each of the facility reporting carrier of the regardless for the for the other carriers, the common debit expense for should be separately with the basis of the percent separation of the solely related expense with the individual account there, no solely related expense with the solely related expense for the act signed entirely to the freighter and passenger for the separating common debit of the expense of the same percentage of the calculated with the separation administrative other XX 1906. Separate all the common credit expense for the accounts for the same percentage of the calculated with the separation of the administrator other than XX 1906. Alright, 1242.33, other expense for the casualty of the insurance accounting XX 1799, XX 1899, 1999, 501700, 151800, 151900, super common expense for the base for the percentage calculated for the separation administrative accounts XX 19006, operating expense equipment, locomotives 1242.34, administrative accounts XX 2601, super common expense for the quantity distribution common expense for the following accounts, repair and maintenance XX 2641, machine repair XX 2640, equipment damage XX 2648, dismantling retired property XX 2639. Alright, 1242.35 of the repairing maintenance account with the XX 2641. Whether the carrier maintained the records of repair with the individual locomotive units class of the locomotive, the individual locomotive, the class of the locomotive unit, the exclusive of the road, track of the road, passenger yard freight, the yard passenger for the separation, actually the individual locomotive, the class of the locomotive, the units and interchangeable common with the road freight, including train switching, road passenger, including train switching, and the yard freighting, yard passenger service of the separate with the heavy shop of the repair with the between the services of the basis, run out with the mile with the individual locomotive unit for the class of the locomotive unit, same with the previous shop, except for the cuff, the running compares between services of the base for the mile of the running with the individual locomotive, the unit class for the locomotives until each of the services during the accounting period of which separate is being made with the carrier to maintain for the road record of the heavy shop of the repair with the cost of the individual locomotive unit, the class for the locomotive unit does not maintain for the record of the cost of running with the repairs of individual locomotive units. The heavy shop of the repair shall be separated and indicated with the paragraph A of the section. The common expense for the common running repairs that appear separated among the road freight, including train switching, road passenger, including train switching, yard freight, yard passenger, service the base for the locomotive unit miles, locomotive ton miles, the accounting period for the separating being made. Alright, where the carrier does not maintain the records either the heavy shop of the repairs of the running repairs of the individual locomotive class of the locomotive unit, the expense shall be separated with it among the road freight services include the train switching, the road passenger service include the train switching, yard freight, yard passenger service the base for the locomotive unit mile, the locomotive ton mile, the accounting period for which the separation is being made. R124236. Machine repair equipment damage accounting XX 2640 with the XX 2648 with the separate common expense with the coding separation common expense with the repair and maintenance XX 2641. 124237 of the dismantling retired property depreciation account XX 2639 and 622600. Separate common expense each for the common proportional separation common and repair and maintenance for the expense with the associated with the particular common properties depreciated dismantled. 1242.38 of the fringe Benjamin account as well as 122600 the separate common expense for the proportional split with the common sale with the wage for the administrator of the local with the repair and maintenance for the machine repair of the equipment damage dismantling retired road property accounts 112601 112641 112640 112648 112639. Or 1242.39 lease rental debit of the credit for the rents for the debit of the credit repair bill for the others account with 3126 0 32 26 32 26 0 35 0 26 0 36 26 0 40 26 98. Alright, separate common and debit expense of the account with a proportional assignment with the solely related freight passengers for the individual account. If there is no solely rated expense, the solely rated expense they're assigned entirely with the freight passenger subsidiary common the expense account with the same on the percentage base is calculated with the separation administrative of the accounts XX 2604 and separate all common credit expense of the account with the same percent of the calculated separation administrator XX 2601. All right, 1242.40 with the joint facility rents, debit the credit with the joint facility debit the credit account 322600 with the 342600 302600 3600 solely related freight passenger debit expense they shall be assigned according to use of the made with each of the facility report carried regardless of the amount used by other carriers. Common and debited expense shall be separated with the base of the percent of the solely with the related with the expense of the solely related expense assigned entirely with the freight passenger with the separate common expense with the same percentage of the calculated with the separation administration XX 2601 separate all of the common credit expense of the accounts with the same percent of the calculated separation administration XX 2601. 1242.044 other casualties including insurance and count of the XX 2699 50 2600 separate common expense with the base for the percentage of the calculated with the separation administrative account 2601. All right, your freight cars. 1242 with administrative repair, maintenance with the machinery repair, equipment damage, dismantling, property, fringe benefit, the other casualty, insurance, lease, rentals, joint facility rents, other rentals, depreciation, joint facility repairs, billed with the other and other counts like XX 2201, 2242, 2240, 2248, 239, 12, 20, 00, 50, 22, 00, 31, 22, 00, 38, 22, 00, inclusive 62, 22, 00, 42, 42, 40, 2298, and 2299. These accounts pertain solely to the freight service that contain no common expense of separation herein. Other equipment, 1242-43, administrative account XX 2701, separate common expense of the core and freight passenger separation of the following accounts, passenger over the revenue car equivalent 2745, and work other non-revenue XX 2747. All right, 1242.44 trucks and trailers containing revenue ship with the floating equivalent to revenue service account XX 2343 and 2344. These accounts pertain solely to the freight service containing no common separation herein. 1242.45 passenger other revenue equipment account XX 2745 separate the particular facts suggest. 1242.46 computers data with the processing equipment account with the XX 2746. All right, if the sum direct with the freight with the direct passenger expense with more than 50% of the total travel, this account with the accounting division separate with the common expense with the base with the directly assigned with the expense with the account with the division involved with the sum of the direct freight with the direct passenger expense that does not aggregate 50% of the total travel. The accounting division of the common expense shall be separated with the base of the special purpose, special type of the common expense of the accounting division with the direct expense with the applicable to one of the service of the freight and passenger with the common expense separated with the on the base for the special type of the accounting is performed on the system basis rather than accounting division intent with above the instruction. 1242.47 the machinery accounting 2740 separate with the common expense of the freight passenger separation administration XX 2701. 1242.48 for work other non-revenue equipment account 2747 separate common expense with the core of the distribution common expense with the wage structure administration other account XX 1906. Okay, 1242.49 equipment damage account for the XX 2748 with separate common expense with the coding distribution common expense with the machinery passenger row the relevant revenue equipment the computer with the data with the processing equipment the work and other non-revenue equipment account for the XX 2740 2745 2746 and 2747. All right, 1242.50 with the fringe benefits account 122700 separate common expense with the proportional percentage separation common salaries and administration XX 2701 1242.51 dismantling retired property depreciation XX 2739 62 2700 separate common expense with the proportional separation with the common repair with the maintenance expense with the associated with the particular common property with the depreciated dismantle. 1242.52 lease rentals debited with the credit with the rents with the debit with the credit repair bill with the other credits account 312700 32 27 00 35 27 00 36 27 00 40 27 98 separate account with the debits for the account with the proportional separate solely related freight passenger or passenger service. Each individual account is no solely related expense with the solely related expense with the assignable entire freight passenger service separate common expenses. Common debit expenses account with the same the percentage calculated with the separate administrative with the XX 2701. Separate common and credit expense with the account with the base for the same percentage with the calculated with the separation administration XX 2701. All right, 1242.53 joint facility rent, debit the credit joint facility debit the credit account 32 2700 34 2700 37 2700 38 2700 sort related freight passengers with the debit with the account with the shall be assigned with the use of the made with each facility reporting carrier with regardless of the use of the made with the facility other common debit expense with the accounts are separated on basis of the percentage separation solely related expense with each of the individual account with no solely related expenses assigned entirely freight passenger with separate common expense with the same percentage calculated for the separation administrative of the accounts XX 2701. All right. Continuing. Surface Transportation Board. Surface transportation separate all with credit expense without the basis, same with the percentage calculated, separated, administered with the XX 2701, 1242, 54 with other expensive carrying insurance accounts, XX 2799, 57, 2700. Separate common expense with the basis of the percentage calculated with the separation administration of XX 2701. Operating expense of transportation. Alright. 1242.55 administration accounts XX 5101 separate common expense according to distribution common expense of the following engine crews 5156 train crews 5157 the dispatching trains 5158 operating signal interlocker 5159 operating drawbridge 5160 highway crossing protection 5161 transmission lubrication 5162 lubricating locomotive fuel 5167 electrical power purchase for the motive power 5168 surfacing locomotive 5169 clearing clearing Rex 5163. All right. Year 1242.56 engine crew, the train crew of the count 5156 and 5157. The separate common assignments with the base of the direct assignment, but they are not directly assignable. The expense of the base of the train hours, including the train switching hours 1242.57. The dispatching account with 5158. Separate common expense of the base for the train hours, including the train switching hours 1242.58. Operating signal with the interlocking operating drawbridge highway crossing protection counting with the 5159, 5160, 5161. Separate common expense of the base for the total training with included the train switching out with a particular common operating division track for the segment of the common signal the interlocking drawbridge highway crossings are located. 1242.59 with the train inspection lubrication accounts for the 5162 the separate common expense of the base for the directly assignable expense there is no directly assignable expense the separate of the base of the train miles. 1242.60 the locomotive fuel electrical power purchase to produce the motive power with the surfacing locomotives account 5161 7 5168 5169. Alright, separate common expense each account with the base for the direct expense, but there's no direct expense separate on the base for the train or the way of switching services. 1242.61 freight loss damage is solely related to train account 51.51.00 separate common expense with the base for the proportion of the solely related expense with the sign of the freight and passenger for the basis of the special study. 1242.62 clearing Rex account the X651.63 separate common expense according to specific circumstances. 1242.63 French Benefits 1251.00 separate common expense with proportional percentage separation calculated salary wages accounting administration 11.51.01. Alright, 1242.64 joint facility debit the credit accounts for 37.51 and 38.51.00 solely related freight service passenger debit the expense that shall be assigned according to you of the made with each of the facility of the reporting carrier regardless of the you of the made solely by other carrier of the common debt with the expense of the accounts shall be separated with the base of the percent of the separation solely related expenses. If there is no solely related expense, the solely related expenses are assigned entirely to either your freight passenger services for the separate with the common expense of the same percentage of the calculated separation administration XX 5101. 5101. Separate common and credit expense of the account of the base of the percent of the calculated separation XX 5101. 1242 with the 65 of the other casualty insurance 5199 5100. Separate common income with the base of the percentage calculated with the separation administration of XX 5101. Yard operations. Alright, 1242.66 with administration, XX 5201, separate common expense with the coordinate distribution, common expense with the following category account, switching crews 5264, controlling account, controlling operation 5265, yard terminal clerical, 5266, operating switch signals, retards and humps 5259, locomotive fuel 5267, servicing locomotive 5269, electrical power purchase for the motive power 5268, clearing Rex 5263. Alright, 1267 switch crews, controlling operating yard, terminal, clerical, fuels, electrical power, produce the motive power, operating, switching, and retarding, humpers, servicing, locomotives account, 5264, 5265, 5266, 5259, 5267, 5268, and 5269. Separate common expense with the base for the distribution, freight and passenger yard, switching hours of the yards common to both freight and passenger services. 1242.68 freight loss of damage is solely related to yard account 5152. 00 separate common expense with the base is solely related to freight passenger expense with the base and with the special study. 1242.69 clearing wrecking account with the XX 52.63 separate common expense with according to specific circumstances. 1242.70 fringe benefits account 1252.00 separate common account with the proportion of the percentage separation calculated with the salary wage administrative accounts 1152.01. All right, 124271 joint facility debt on the credit accounts 37520038 5200 solely related freight and passengers for the debit account, but there shall be assigned accordingly each made to each of the reporting carriers, regardless if the made with the facility. Each of the other carriers common to the expense for the separated with the basis of percentage separation solely related expense. If there's no solely related expense, solely related expense is assigned with entirely freight passenger for the separate common expense with the same with the percentage calculated for separation administration. XX 5201 separate common and credit expense for the count of the basis percentage calculated with the separation administration. XX 5101. All right, continuing 124272 other casualties insurance with account XX 5299 52 and 00 separate common exempted base for the percentage calculated separated administrative the XX 5201 train yard operation common 124273 cleaning of the interior of the freight loft of damage all of others XX 5370 with the M51 5300 separate common expense of the base for solely related freight passenger expense for the special study. All right, 1242.74. Adjusting train for the load of the car loading devices, grain doors, accounts, X63371, X63372. These accounts pertain solely to the freight service that contain no common expense for the separation herein. For 1242.75, the fringe bidding 1253.00, separate common expense for the proportion freight passenger separation, calculated salaries, wages, cleaning car interiors, common 1153.70. Specialized service operations 1242.76, administrative pickup of the delivery, marine line haul of the railroad, substitute for the service of loading, unloading, local marine, protective service of freight, law of damage, solely related fringe benefit to casualty, insurance, joint facility, other exit 3401, 3473, 3474, 3475, 3400, 51 3400, 12 3400, 50 3400, 37 3400, 38 3400, XX 3499. Or the accounts pertaining solely with the freight service that contain no experience with the separate here and then administrative support operation 124277 administrative account X5501 separate common expense the same portion of the common expense separated with employees performing the clerical accounting function with the communication system operation law for damage claims processing accounts X5576 5577 5578. Or 1242.78 the employees performing and clerical accounting function with the loss of the damage claim of the processing 5576 5578 some of the direct freight with the direct passenger expense of the more than 50% of the total share of the account with the accounting division separate with the common expense of the base with the directly assigned with the expense of the account with the particular accounting division some of the direct freight with the direct passenger expense does not aggregate 50% of the total charge for an accounting division common expense that shall be separated with the base for the special test with the common expense of the in account of the division but with the direct expense of the applicable only when the share of the freight passenger even with the direct charges over 50% of the total share of the common expense shall be separated with the base of the special theft accounting performed on the system of the race rather than the accounting division filed the intent with above the instructions. R 1242.79 communication system operation count 1250 XX 5577 the common expense for the base for the percentage calculated for the separation communication system XX 1920 and 1242.18. All right, 1242. 80 fringe benefits to 1255.00. The separate common expense of the proportion percentage separation of the salary wages administrated 1155.01. R 1242.81 joint facility debit with the credit account 3755.00 3855.0 solely related freight passenger debit the account with the shall be assigned with according to you the made with each facility reporting carriers regardless of you the main facility but other carriers common debit expense that shall be separated with the base for the percentage separation of solely related expenses if there are no solely related expenses or if the solely related expenses are assigned with entirely with either the freight or passenger separate common expense for the same percentage calculated for the separation administration counting X 5501 separate common and credit expense of the base percentage of the calculated separation administration X 5501. All right, 1242.82 for the other casualties insurance account for the XX 5599 5500 separate common expense of the base for the percentage calculated for the separation administration of the XX 5501. All right, General Administration, 1255.83, Officer General Superintendent of Accounting and Audit and Financing, Managing Service of the Dev of the Processing, Personal Labor Relations, Legal and Secretarial, Research Development, weigh down unacceptable accounts, uncollectible accounts, property tax, the other tax exempt, the corporate income payments, or the other accounts, account 6301, 6386, 6387, 6391, 6392, 6394, 6300, 64, 6300, 65, 6300, 6390, and X 6399. $1,000,000.99. Separate common expense and the proportion separation of all of the other common expense of the general administrative expenses. 1242.82 for the marketing, several of the public relation, the advertising, the account of the X 63.88, 63.89, 63.99, 93 separate each for the common expense of the common accounts of the base of the solely related freight passenger expense of the accounts. 1242.85 fringe benefits accounts 20.63.00 separate the common in proportion to the total common salaries and wage expense separation account of the 11 XXXX determined in 1242.83 and 1242.84. 1242.86 Industrial Development Accounting XX 6190. The accounts pertain solely with the freight service that contain no common expense with the separation herein. Alright, 1242.87 the joint facility debit the credit casualty insurance accounts 37.63.0, 38.63.00, 50.63.00 separate the common expense with the proportional time and all of the common expense separation determined in 1242.83, 1242.84 above. Alright, let's do the no if then compilation data for the compliance with the aim of the above separation rule. The result of the undue burden counting the expense of the carrier may request the relief of the such rules of the letter of the director of the office of the economically reliable data that can be developed throughout any of the methods perceived of the carrier may request substitution of the letter of the director of the office of the economic rules of the carrier shall support the request of the full details. And that was part 1242. 1242 separation common operating expense between freight and service the passenger service the railroads.